It's only a failure when you stop believing. Because when you stop believing, all the possibilities that could be die a silent death at that point. What color are you planning to wear to the funeral of your dreams unfulfilled?
Hey queens, yeah you know who you are. God, come on. Go ahead and put that crown on your head. Now tilt a little to the left, now a little to the right. Perfect. Now let's get to work, because we know you got big goals and you got big dreams and not afraid to let them know. Why? Because you step into your purpose, you speak out on your faith, and you shift up in your journey, because you a boss. Welcome to the podcast Drop the Expired Act with your host Belly of QueenBayGoals.com, reminding you that you are a queen before anything else. It's your life and your goals. Make it royal. All right, y'all. Go ahead and work that crown.
Hey Queen Bays, welcome to the second half of our spring season. For the rest of the season, we're talking all about the second F in our Don't Give 2F season theme, and that F is all about failure, right? We talked about fear for the first half, so now it's all about failure, with a little bit of fear sprinkled in here and there. And let me start by saying that failure isn't a bad word, right? Depending on what you believe about failure. And in today's episode, I'd like to tell you about how you can change that belief. But let me first start by giving you a list of people who failed. Stephen King's Carrie was rejected by 30 publishers. J.K. Rowling was rejected by 12 publishers. And I talked about these two in an episode last season called Act Like J.K. Rowling, Think Like Stephen King. So you know where they are today in life, right? Also, Walt Disney was fired for lack of imagination. Colonel Sanders was rejected by thousands of people. Steven Spielberg was rejected twice from art school. And Thomas Edison, he had, 10,000 failed attempts at the light bulb? Okay. So if you've been listening since season 1, you already know my first goal guide is to find your faith first. Anytime that you're working on goals, the first thing that you should find is your faith. And finding your faith is simply figuring out those things that you believe, right? We all believe something. And that's especially true about failure. We all have our own beliefs about failure. And one thing a lot of us believe about failure is that it's a bad thing, right? We believe that failure leads to shame. We believe that failure means that we should give up. And the big one, we believe that we should never let anyone else see us fail. And I say that's the big one because a lot of times people don't try because they are more afraid of failing and wondering, what are people going to think if they see me fail, right? They're busy worried about what people are going to think than actually even trying to do the thing. And tell me I'm lying, right? If I'm telling your truth, drop a hashtag truth in the comments under this podcast episode. So let's talk about some of the new truths that I want you to believe, right? Some of the new beliefs that I want you to have when it comes around faith and failure. Because believing all the other stuff will leave you stuck, will leave you in the same place, will leave you aspiring instead of going after the things that you want in life. So here's your new failure belief number 1. Failure belief number 1 is believe that failure is a part of the process. And I feel like I've talked about this in a previous episode, and if I have, here it is again. Believe that failure is a part of the process. The moment that we believe that in order to succeed, we must first have to fail a few times, that helps to remove some of that anxiety around failing. Because then it becomes, at what point will I fail? It's bound to happen. And I anticipate it because I don't know everything. And I'm not perfect. So failure is inevitable. But so is my success. And that brings me to your next new failure belief, which is failure is a lesson. Failure is a lesson that I will learn from. When we encounter failure, the first thing that we need to do is feel all the things, right? Get angry, get sad, get disappointed, get silly, Get whatever it is that you need to feel. But once you get past those emotions, once those emotions subside, once you've acknowledged that you have in fact failed, the next step should be to figure out, what can I learn from this? What can I take away from this experience that will make me stronger, wiser, more built for success? Because failure will build you up for success if you stop long enough to learn the lesson from it. And your last new failure belief. And there's plenty more, but I'll just leave you with these three as your failure belief starting kit. Failure does not define who I am as a person. Let that one sink in. Failure does not define who I am as a person. The moment we fail, a lot of times we internalize that failure. If your business failed, you say, I'm a failed entrepreneur. If your book launch failed, you say, I'm a failed author. If your children fail in life, you say, I failed as a parent, right? But are you really a failure? Sometimes things happen that are out of our control. But if we believe that failure is a part of the process, and we believe that failure will teach you a lesson, you also have to believe that failure doesn't make you one, right? Failure is temporary. That's your bonus failure belief. Failure is temporary. You're not a failure if something doesn't work out. You're not a failure if something doesn't go the way that you planned. It just means that you have to find the lesson and move forward. And in the next episode, we'll talk about finding that lesson fast. It's called Fail Fast, Learn Fast. That's the next episode. But it all starts with you having these beliefs about failure. So real quick, I'm going to run them down one more time. The next things that I want you to believe about failure, your new failure beliefs are: failure is a part of the process. Failure is a lesson that I will learn from. Failure does not define who I am as a person. And the bonus belief, failure is temporary. Once you start to believe those things about failure and push out of all those old beliefs that you had before, it becomes a whole lot easier to drop your aspiring act and go after the things that you dream about. So, Queen, I'm asking you, change your belief system around failure. Change it so that it works out in your benefit. Change it so that you can see the success that is just on the other side of that failure. Okay, it's right there. You just have to push yourself to get to the point wherever that failure is, and then get to the other side of it. So believe that. All right, so now it's time for the quote of the podcast, and I'll go back to one of, the people that I listed in the beginning as those people who were listed as being failures, but, it always worked out. Well, it did work out in the end for them. And you know who said this, right? I have not failed 10,000 times. I have not failed once. I have succeeded in proving that those 10,000 ways will not work. And that's by Thomas Edison. But it won't be a Drop This Inspiring Act podcast episode if I didn't do my twist on the quote. So my twist on that quote is, if I have failed 10,000 times, that means that I have learned something new 10,000 times. And I only need one success to make it all count. Okay? So you can quote me on that because you heard it here first. But seriously, you can quote me and then, tag me on social media wherever you post it. I'm on all platforms at Queen Bay Goals. So I'll talk to you guys in the next episode. Next episode, we're talking all about failing and failing fast. So make sure you stay tuned.
You have been listening to another episode of Drop the Aspiring Act. If you're looking for more information on this podcast and other episodes, please visit queenbaygoals.com.